Cool. Welcome. Super happy to be here in Porto. Beautiful city. Really, really beautiful city. My hotel's 10 minutes away. I got it on Google Maps by distance. I should have gotten by elevation because it's really killer. So this talk is going to be very practical. My goal here, and my audience is going to be mostly for open source maintainers. If you have a project that is even like mildly successful, I want you to come out of this talk and be able to sort of facilitate the sponsorships facilitate corporate sponsors in general. Make it as easy as possible for them to give you money. And I was already introduced a little bit. I'm a consultant, I'm a developer, I'm a consulting CTO. I've been on computers since I was a kid, programming since 04, open source since 06. I was on Django 96, 90, I don't remember, but it was right around the time of the 1.0 release, yeah. My first public open source contribution was on the Wine project. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's like a Windows re-implementation for Linux. And my last startup was actually founded out of an open source project. DJ Stripe is corporate sponsored by Stripe, and through that and through previous experiences, I've learned a lot, and I want to share some of them. And I want to start with a story about OpenSSH. You might have heard about this. It was in the news, and it was a few years ago. In about 2013, Bob Beck from the OpenBSD Foundation, he sent out an email on the OpenBSD mailing list, and he was saying, we don't have money to keep the lights on. And they needed $20,000. They resent the same email in 2014. And it was huge. It was in the news, and eventually I think like Microsoft stepped up, Google stepped up. Like there were some contributions that flowed in because OpenBSD, they maintained the OpenSSH project. Quick show of hands, who here uses OpenSSH and needs it at work? Who would be critically affected if OpenSSH were to disappear? Right? Now, another show of hands, who contributes to it? Who contributes money to it? All right, I think I heard some cricket. It's okay. It's hard. It's hard. I'll show you why it's hard. Because let's say you're inspired after this talk and you want to, I don't know, you want to go see your CEO, you tell them, hey, like, we critically depend on OpenSSH. If it were to go away, we would, like, die. Let's contribute money to it. Your CEO, they hear you out, they go, they Google, this is what they find. This looks like a phishing page, first of all, and there's more issues. The first issue is just some PayPal links. There's some crypto addresses lower down, by the way. There's an address to send a check. It's not very practical. To get a receipt, you have to email the directors, you have to talk to the directors, whatever that means. That's going to be a lot of administrative work. Okay, no good. And on top of this, donations are not tax deductible. So there's zero given incentive for a business to contribute. Now, why don't donations work for companies? You might have heard this, but this is why. This is right here your competition when you ask for donations. A company at the end of the year, they're going to look at their budget, they're going to look at their profits, they're going to want to optimize them a bit, and they will have a donation budget. And that donation budget will get spread a little around various charities. Usually you need to be tax deductible in order to get into that budget. Again, because of tax optimization. And your competition there, it's going to be the EFF, the Red Cross, Médecins Sans Frontières. It's not going to be easy to get there because, well, you're competing with cancer, so your project is just, yeah, they're not going to make the cut. Instead, sell services, right? If you sell something, you're no longer in the donation budget. You're in the development budget. And it's very easy to get there because if we're talking about a tech company and your project is like a critical part of their stack or just an important part of their stack, it's very easy to get there by, for example, selling tech support, right? Nobody in the world is better than you to give tech support for the code that you wrote. And if you save the company like a couple hours even of development time, it's going to be already worth a lot for them. So it makes complete sense. Let's talk about what you can sell. As I said, support, right? Tech support can be priority support. It can be things like if you file a GitHub issue, I will look at it first. I will address it first. High priority. It can be I'm going to give you my personal email address and give you an SLA on it. Like I guarantee a response within like 2 business days, for example, something like that. You can amp it up, give them like your phone number. I have done that. Companies can pay a lot for that. It can also affect personal life, so make sure you put boundaries, strict boundaries on that. You can sell video calls like pair programming, and all of this works really nice for like a monthly recurring subscription, recurring tier. Another model is selling contract work. This works well as hourly or weekly work. And that can be like, I'll customize my open source project. I'll add some features. Those features, maybe they can be proprietary, or you can also like sell some work under like a different license. You can integrate with God knows what enterprise software they use. Or you can just help them set up your software, your library, your whatever it is you're building, help set it up or integrate it with their stack or upgrade it after a painful migration, for example. If you don't want to do any work, if you don't want to do any development work for companies, what you can do instead, and you won't get into the development budget for that, but instead you can get into the marketing budget by selling what amounts to ad space. You might have seen this on GitHub, a README with like, these are our sponsors, right? I'll put your logo here on a README in our documentation. Maybe you have a we are hiring page. Maybe you want like to put that in the documentation. It can be really relevant. I think Read the Docs does that actually. Let's look at how to sell, what you need in order to be able to sell those sponsorships. 3 things, very important. Somewhere to handle payments, somewhere to showcase the sponsorship benefits, and a way for you to declare the income, to make it all legal. Somewhere to handle payments, so that means taking plastic, Visa, MasterCard, and generating invoices and receipts automatically so that you don't have to do any manual work for this. Showcasing sponsorship benefits, that means like a tiers page, right? Patreon, GitHub sponsors, you've seen it. And declaring the income, I'm not going to go in depth there because this is different in every single country. What it amounts to is you can register either an independent activity, which is often going to be highly taxed, or you can create a company for it, which is a lot more management. It's more expensive, but it comes with lower taxes. It can be worth it if you have a lot of sponsors or a lot of clients or just additional activities. Check with your employer as well, by the way, because all of this, if you have full-time employment, it can conflict with your contract. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a lawyer. Talk to. Right, and you've seen GitHub sponsors, I'm sure. Very easy way to get 90% of the way there. They offer most of this. They're well established. People trust them. Companies trust them. They will have no problem putting money into GitHub. And it's really well documented. They have excellent support. They will help you get set up. They're great. What I want to talk about today is less known, and I want a quick show of hands of who's familiar with Open Collective, please. It's about like a third, maybe less of the room. And Open Collective, they predate GitHub sponsors, I believe. And yeah, they market themselves as a legal and financial toolbox for grassroots projects. This is beyond open source projects, but they're quite popular for open source projects as well, and they have a collective specifically for open source projects. This is going to be especially relevant if your project has multiple maintainers, because there can be questions about how to share money from, like how to do the expenses, how to distribute, and so on. What Open Collective has, and we'll look at our prerequisites from earlier, we needed somewhere to handle payments, right? So they have many payment methods, including crypto, if you care. They take both anonymous and public contributions. They will generate invoices and receipts for you. They will handle all of the financial side there. We needed somewhere with our sponsorship tiers. They have a great editor for that. You can do however many tiers as you want. And you can also showcase your contributors, whoever has contributed publicly. And we also needed a way to declare the income. They will assist you there by via their Fiscal Host system. We'll get into details in a bit. You'll have a dedicated bank account. You'll have a dedicated card, even if you need that, and all the reporting tools you need for your accountant. They're going to be super happy. Expense filing for like drive-by contributors, for example, if you want to set up a bug bounty, all of this is fantastic. By the way, I'm not affiliated with Open Collective. I'm a huge fan. I'm a user of them, but this will be a lot of fanboying for the rest of the talk. Bonus features, like I said, virtual cards. So the advantage here is you don't have to spend time doing like, you pay $12 a month for $12 a year for your domain name. You don't need to expense report that. You just use a card, for example. The expense approval system, like I mentioned, they have a public ledger. So this is really, really useful if you have contributors, if you have a community that wants to see where the money goes. It's really important in order to build trust that, I don't know, you're not buying a yacht or something. And finally, they integrate with GitHub sponsors. I have done this. The money can flow in from GitHub sponsors, so that can be your primary page. And you can redirect it to Open Collective, where they will handle all the legal and financial side, and that's fantastic. It just shows up as like GitHub sponsors being a contributor. There are fiscal hosts. Like I mentioned earlier, they are entities which are often registered charitable activities. That doesn't necessarily mean tax deductible, but we'll get into that later. They have a dedicated billing address. They will give you your own bank account numbers, and for all that, they take a cut. It's worth it. It's worth it. I have no doubts about it. And I have seen many companies themselves use Open Collective to sort of handle all the open source sponsorship aspect of it, including Airbnb, I think, where they take like 10% and it's out of like massive grants. And I want to do a quick demo of Open Collective very quickly, just to kind of show you what you'll be dealing with. And one moment. There we go. This is not very visible, so Okay. What we have here is Open Collective. And this is the open source collective. They host many, many projects. How well can you guys see from the back? Like, all good, yeah? So they host many projects. You can see Webpack here, for example. Destiny Item Manager, OBS, all of those, they use Open Collective. Earlier, I went into the open source collective. This is how you would apply. And I chose a project, F-Droid. They use Open Collective, and I just went into it to kind of see, like, what does this look like? They have an annual budget. All of this is public. These are their various sponsorship tiers, and they have their public list of contributors. And they also have a place for news, and yeah, their budget. So the budget is going to be, it's going to include all of the incoming, all of the incoming money and all the outgoing money. So if we dig into that, we can see like all of their donations and also how they are spending the money. So here, for example, we can see that somebody, can't quite see, yeah, somebody took in 3.6K for, I think, building a feature. I'm not sure what this is, and we can go into it and sort of see there's an expense approval process. You can have multiple approvals required for contributors. You can have multiple people approving those. I can't stress how useful this is for multi-member projects. We use it at DJ Stripe, and it's a great way. It's a great way of just making all this public and building trust. As you can see on DJ Stripe, we don't really have tiers on Open Collective because we do that through GitHub sponsors, which is going to be just here, and all the money will flow in through Open Collective. And that's the demo. And that's it for now. I'm open to take questions if anyone has any.